to the Maryland players, the coaching staff, and their fans, what they've gone through, the tragedy in the spring, and that was a tremendous effort. And you know, I hear about attendance. It was, when I looked up, it was packed. And also, as I always do, thank Buckeye Nation for being there full force. I would think we had almost half the stadium, and that was a much appreciation for that. Defense champions, Draymond Jones, graded out a champion. Chase Young had 2 sacks, and then Malik Harrison, 3 tackles for loss and a fumble recovery. Player of the game was Tough Borland. And on offense, you had offensive line, which played 105 plays. Isaiah Prince graded out well, Demetrius Knox, Michael Jordan, Malcolm Pridgeon, and I think Josh might be his first one. Josh came in and played, I should have that for you, how many plays he played, but he played hard for us. At tight end, we had 2. Luke Farrell graded out a champion, and Rashad Berry with 2 catches for 15 yards, and I think they were both in overtime, if I remember. Yeah. Running back, you had Demario McCall, which is great to see, especially when in the fourth quarter, minute 40 left on his kick return. And then wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions, 118 yards. Paris, 5 touches. Johnny Dixon, 6 receptions for 102 yards. Ben Victor, 2 big ones. And then KJ Hill, 3 catches, 21 yards, and 19 yards, and a great touchdown. Co-players of the game were Dwayne Haskins, 28 of 38 for 464 total yards and 6 total touchdowns. Ran the ball the best he has. Obviously, and J.K. Dobbins, I just can't say enough about that guy. Mike Weber had a quad contusion, and he had 37 carries for 203 yards and a touchdown. Special teams, player of the game was Demario McCall, and a 42-yard kick return to get us in field position to strike with no timeouts left. Josh Proctor played well, 2 tackles inside the 20 1 tackle inside the 20, 2 total tackles on kickoff coverage. And Drew Chrisman, we down the punt, or they fair caught, I believe, a punt on the 5-yard line. I just had a chat with our players about that really tough decision on 38-yard line, 4th and 5. And if it wasn't for a guy like Drew, I would have probably went for it in that situation, which, you know, that's, you're putting your defense in a bad situation if you don't get it. We went, punted the ball down to the 5-yard line. They went 3 and out. 7 plays later, we scored a touchdown. And that was because of our punt execution and our gunners and Drew Chrisman. So I'll answer any questions for you.
Front row, Mitch.
Urban, after watching video, what have you been able to discern about defense and what happened?
Well, a bunch of things happened. Obviously, it was very alarming to see that. I thought we started to crack the rock the last 2 weeks as far as playing good defense, elimination of big plays, and then obviously it was not good. And so we're not blaming people, whether it be missed tackle, alignment, scheme, whatever it is. It's just a matter of getting ready for this one. So yeah, we watched it with the defense, and it was not good.
Did missed tackles, was that a problem?
8 missed tackles for the game. Your goal was to be around 5. The missed tackles were huge hits, and that was a part of it.
Bill?
Urban, you talked a lot about Dwayne and toughness after the game at Maryland. What does it do for an offense when that mindset starts to emanate from the quarterback position?
Well, I made this comment. The quarterback position is the most unique position, in my opinion, in really all of sport, where everybody's relying on you. Everybody's looking at you. You have a responsibility with the other 10 guys are doing. You have to make all kinds of decisions within 1.8 to 2.5 seconds, and you have to be a tough guy. You have to lead. Everybody's got their own Drew Brees to Peyton Manning to Tom Brady, how they lead. And Dwayne really took a step. No more important than the last play of the game when he dropped his pads and had to get in there, and he got in there.
Why do you think that happened? Have there been ongoing discussions?
Oh, sure. I think Ryan Day's a great football coach, and I think the two of them, everybody has big dreams, and part of being a big dream is being that guy that can move a team, not just throw a pretty pass, but do the things that you have to do to go win the game.
And understanding what you've had at that position the last few years, how much did you feel that missing from the offense, that element?
Oh, it's been missing big time, but, you got to make those yards up somewhere, and obviously yard-wise, we're at one of the top offenses in America. We picked them up in the pass game, but the tougher the opponent, you're going to have to, just the sheer numbers of the college game, you're going to have to find a way to get those yards.
Front row middle, Dave.
Thayer Munford got rolled up on. How is he doing? Do you expect him to play this week?
Yeah, he's probable. Just as a matter of fact, the last 20 minutes I saw him, and he's doing good. I think we'll get some practice out of him tomorrow.
Offensively this year, when you guys go up-tempo, it looks like that's what your most effective plan, at least to me. Are you seeing that when you analyze it, when the up-tempo is most effective?
Oh, it was effective Saturday. Kind of wore him out. Very big, strong team that got wore out a little bit. A lot of it's game management of the entire scenario of offense, defense, kicking, etc. So those are game management decisions as we go.
Front row right here, Austin.
Urban, and back to the defense, I think these numbers, the total defense would be the worst in school history, and that's really a mouthful. I wonder, that's not just a one-game thing. Have there been conversations with the staff? Have they justified that it's not as bad as those numbers would make it seem? What have those staff discussions been like?
Uncomfortable and direct, and what I was saying around here, win the moment. The moment is to get ready for this next one, not to worry about what happened against Oregon State or even last week. And that's hard to do. Your question is legit and very uncomfortable to discuss, but our players deserve our best, and that's the focus on today, and that's what's coming next.
And so one thing that Coach Giano characterized on Saturday was that, it's 1 week. In college football, oftentimes you can look like a very different team from 1 week to the next. How does this defense get where it needs to be to win in a rivalry situation on Saturday?
Practice, game plan and spend a ridiculous amount of time in there from 6 a.m. to probably 11 tonight, and come up with a scheme and make sure our checker's in the right place. And my job is to make sure our team is rested. And it's a busy week at the band here yesterday. We have senior tackle, we have Thanksgiving, and then we got the rival.
And the quad bruise for Weber, will he
He's
play?
good. Yeah.
Front row middle, Bill.
Baron Brownie's clear too.
Michigan's defense is best in the country by a lot. And when you watch them on tape, what stands out to you, and how big a challenge is this going to be for the offense?
Whenever you face an elite team, elite defense, which they are, the personnel stands out, front seven stands out, and also very good. I think they're #1 in the nation of pass defense. And just very good personnel, very well thought out scheme, and very good defense.
And you guys are underdogs for the first time in a long time. Your record in those kind of games is very good. What's your message to the team about the fact that even though you're 10-1, like Michigan is, there are a lot of doubters about this team?
We don't talk about those things. We talk about how to. It's really about game. We have a center runner, most prepared team to win the game. It's not who's favored and who's not. I didn't know that, and I don't imagine our team really does, I guess. I mean, if they are, then they're looking at their own stuff. They'll be working on how they win their individual battle against a good team.
As a psychology major, I imagine you're going to use that later in the week.
I don't think I will. I don't usually go in those directions. It depends on what kind of team you're dealing with. One side's about getting everybody healthy, one side's about getting some confidence. And to play your very best in the biggest game of the year.
Front row left, Doug.
Urban, as you mentioned, I think you got your second in the nation in yards per game on offense, your 8th in the nation in points per game on offense. We know with Dwayne and this style of quarterback, it's just different what you've done most of your career. To be at this point with a top 10 offense, clearly. Just how do you feel about how you guys have made this work with Dwayne's skill set, what you like to do offensively? You've changed in the course of the season, but here you are. What's it been like, and how would you evaluate it?
Well, we're an evaluation-friendly business. I would evaluate, other than I think we have 7 fumbles for the 7 turnovers, I believe, or I think it's 7 fumbles. That's always my concern. My concern, if you recall, several weeks ago was red zone offense and balance. And you're seeing our guys have worked tremendously hard at that. I think Ryan Day has done a phenomenal job doing it, and you don't try to force the square peg in a round hole and say, okay, we're gonna run JT's offense or Tebow or Braxton offense, you're gonna run the Alex Smith, you're gonna run the Chris Leak offense that we've had to do. And we've researched the archives, but this game's changed so much anyway, so I think our offense staff's done a pretty good job, and obviously the players, I think, have done a very good job.
And along the lines of a game like this, regardless of who's favored or anything like that, when you're playing any team where the talent is equal, right? They're very talented, you're very talented. Versus times during the year when it's just clear you guys have more talent than the team you're facing. How do you coach different? Do you take any more risks in a game where it's equal talent? Where if we just butt heads all game, we're not maybe guaranteed to win. How does a coach approach that?
Well, so it's 7-1, and like you said, it's never been, in my opinion, the talent differential has always been extremely close. And also when you play, Penn State, I think Michigan State's very close, and you've seen it. For me to say how we play, you've seen it over the years. We're going to do what we have to do, we think, at the time to win the game. And does that involve maybe more risk, more this, more that? I think it probably does. You're probably a little more conservative when it is a team that you're better than. But that's all game. We're going to have stuff available. It's just how it's going during the game.
Second row right, Rob.
Urban, a couple of Woody questions, if I may. Did you get to know him at all? You were here, I think, '86.
I did.
Asked, and your memories of him, any stories in terms of?
Well, Shelley was a girlfriend / fiance at the time, and I remember we met him at the golf course. He was failing in his health, and I remember I met him several times. The talker went, but I didn't really get to sit down and talk to him. And Shelley says, "Can I please go meet him?" And I started to walk over there. There was a line of about 30 people to shake his hand, and I said, I'll bring you over to the ROTC building at some point. We'll say hi to him. And then he passed away, so she never got to meet him. So I grew up admiring him, and you see my offers, all kind of Woody Hayes stuff in there.
Second thing there is, could you get away with using his methods today in terms of the
Zero chance. I will say this, because I should say that much differently, because so much respect for I'll say that Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes, that was the 10-year war, that was the time growing up, so it's just changed a lot. But the guys like Woody Hayes, I'm sure would have adapted. If you would have said in 1972, the way he coached, would you be able to do that today? No chance, but he's a brilliant person that would have adjusted.
How about the way he addressed this game? There's always so much respect between Michigan and Ohio State, but with he and Bo, they would go at it a little bit, even publicly. Is today almost too PC with this rivalry? I mean, it's all respect. It's don't take it, don't.
I can only speak for myself, and I think the R word's critical here. I've been that way for 7 years, and I've absolutely incredible respect. And how do you respect someone and something? So that someone's your rival and something's the rivalry game. How do you respect? You work so freaking hard at it to do your very best. That's our side, not talking about it, not publicly, going after people, because I don't do that. That's no. I think how do you show respect for them and the game? You work, which we are. We're working so damn hard for this.
Second row right, Tony.
Urban, how much Michigan did you watch? Do you watch every year?
Just when it's crossover.
And I guess, do you put it like in a memory bank? Do you store it away for later use, or do you just wait until it's this week to break it all out again?
Our staff, sure, we pay special attention, and you try to, as it's going throughout the year, you don't want to lose some thoughts.
Second row left, Ari.
This week, roots are probably more important. Roots for people on this team, roots from where people on Michigan's team came from. There's this thing that fans tend to say a lot, that I've read a lot, when things aren't going well. Urban Meyer hasn't recruited enough kids from Ohio, because Ohio players inherently understand what the privilege it is to wear this uniform. Do you buy that?
I'm disappointed at times when I see that we see some of these guys that are just playing their tails off, and we have opportunities to get. A lot of times it doesn't even get to me, and I think this recruiting calendar has really put us in a tough situation at times. where, we don't have spring football in the state of Ohio, and a lot of it at times is projection, and you see these just fantastic football players that people can say we missed on, and that's true. But they commit so early to, some schools are coming off for 20, 25 Ohio guys right away, and I kind of wish we could do that. And, but you can't. You got to watch them play and get them to camps and watch. That's just the recruiting process. That's been kind of taken away in the last 5 years, where a lot of times you don't get them to camp. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're committed in the March of their junior year. You're like, I just want to watch this guy play, watch his plays, a couple plays in his senior year. So that's kind of what's taking place.
When Ohio kids are on this team, do they approach things?
This team?
Yeah, when you get Ohio
Oh,
kids
sure.
on this team.
Yeah, I get your question.
Especially like
Yeah.
this.
As opposed to a California kid or
Yeah,
Texas
yeah,
kid.
I'm not saying that they don't play hard, but just
Oh,
the
yeah.
inherent understanding.
Absolutely.
Okay, and second of all, we talk a lot about pressure. I mean, people say, do you feel pressure during the game, or do you feel pressure to perform, or pressure to do this or that? But, this week, a lot of coaches are judged by the performance in this game. Obviously, you've done pretty well. Coach Harbaugh started off 0-3. Do you buy into the coach's pressure of having to perform to get the results during this week? And if the coach does feel that, can it trickle down to your team in terms of mannerisms, behavior?
I'll say this, that, especially the time and effort of the players and the coaching staff, and if you're asking me, the head coach, the amount of time and effort you put into these games, and certainly there's no bigger than this. The word pressure, absolutely, there's there. And for someone to say, there's no pressure, that's not true. Your question is very well thought out, where you said, does it trickle down? And that's where you got to really do a good job and say, yeah, it's all there. Wade Haskins is going to feel pressure, but he's got to have confidence with Ryan Day, myself, that we're going to put him in the right positions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but if a coach does show that they are being impacted by the pressure, even if there's
That could be a negative.
offensive nature or
That could be a
something,
negative. You got to
you have to watch yourself.
display confidence and with the plan.
Got time for one more set of questions. Tim?
Yeah, Urban, speaking of Dwayne Haskins and confidence in the plan, et cetera, if you had divorced yourself and weren't sitting there on the sideline Saturday, your offense went on 3 or 4 drives that were critical. I mean, one in a game would be huge, but 3 or 4. What did that just tell you about, Dwayne in particular, but the offense in general, on maybe the confidence it has that it can rise to the occasion no matter what?
Well, I made these notes just as I was walking in because, it's not like me to be the Joe Positive guy. Usually the opposite. But you had almost 700 yards against a top 25 defense. You're down by 14 3 times on the road. Your quarterback and receivers made just incredible plays down the stretch, really all day. Your tailback ran 37 times against a stout defense. Your offensive line played 105 plays, and there was nothing more important than 105th play with the backup left tackle. And so, yeah, that's kind of the mindset that I want to get through this building too, is that, yeah, it was not, we're 10-1, we have to move forward, we're going to try to fix our problems. You've been hearing that for a while, but that's what we're doing. And offense, you try to build them up and make sure that now that one's over. Let's get them rested and healthy. 105 plays, right now, that's my biggest concern, is how do I get through Tuesdays, Wednesdays practice against this, very good defense. You have to be ready to swing, because they're going to have to swing very hard on Saturday.
And 2 other quickies. Josh Allaby, you touched on him a little bit, but just how huge was that? I mean, to step into a game when he did and then deliver. I mean, what does that just tell you about him?
Well, that's been coming. You've heard me talk about him getting better each week, and there was a time about, he had some injury issues too. There was a time 5 weeks ago that there was no depth. Brandon Bone was there ready to go too, so we do have a little bit of depth in that.
And last thing, this game is about microcosm, about one-on-one matchups as much as anything else. Is Isaiah Prince, in your opinion, I think final home game in the stadium, he's going to be going against probably Rashawn Gary a lot, we think, but is he up to that task? What's your feeling of confidence there, and why do you have it?
Well, he's played against Rashawn last year and hung in there, and they're very good. And I think Isaiah's worked as hard as any offensive lineman I've ever had. And I just saw him earlier today, and he's going to work really hard for this game.
Coach, could I ask one last quick one about Earl? It's the first Michigan week without Earl. I'm sure you think about him a lot, but what would you think about Joel Bruce this week in particular?
Well, obviously very close to him in 1986. That was the first time that I experienced it with Coach, and then obviously the 1987 game up in Ann Arbor, that was his last game as a coach. And so I think about that quite often.